So a couple of things we could have been doing to stop this. Head up, don't let him free their knee, okay? He tries to do the same thing, go for it. Without being able to free his knee, very difficult, okay? Keep your elbow like past the line of the hip this way, okay? Again, he tries to, even if he frees his knee now, he goes to sit up. He's basically he can sit up, but not with my arm, okay? He can just sit up without it. He might go to like a gooseneck or something, okay? But this gives me a chance to pressure in for a pass. And then if they do successfully do this, I would try to force my knee across. Sometimes you can do some fancy back takes and so on. So sometimes they do, of course, like anything, they will manage to do this sometimes. I tend to put my shin across and try to roll over the top towards crucifix or the back. So as Harry sits up and pushes, put my shin inside his armpit. Okay. Yeah, has to sort of stay on the arm. Yeah. You'll see, basically, if I continue to follow him here, like I keep my knee tight, I start back stepping over, forcing him belly down. I want to capture his shoulder with my left leg, and I can land in quite a good spot. So looking at that as a single movement, Harry sits up, and looks for the back. Another thing for the sit-up escape is, it's usually that you're passing too early, you're freeing the leg too early if this is happening to you. So if you can just hover if you've got your weight on their upper body, so at some stage of this pass, I'm here. Okay, now if he tries to do a sit-up escape, the fact that I'm just over the top of him here, that escape should be gone.
So look at some examples of me losing the single under due to a sit-up escape. And first one, my head's too far back. Isaac's able to push my armpit in that case. You're welcome to go back and freeze these frames, just sort of go through that. This second one, I end up leaning my head too far over the far side of the body. Okay, so you should always sort of imagine you're keeping their near hip pinned down. Here I'm beginning to drive a little bit too much into his leg. It happens a little bit later, but as he's trying to pummel that leg, I'm trying to push his legs away with my head. Here's where I lean too much, and he's able to sit up. Right, and that, I think I come in close to a body lock, but it's still not ideal. I should have passed there. And the last one is just, I'm overcommitted on the entry. My head ends up too much on that far side. If you watch here, it's quite a quick one as I enter. That's often the best time for people to sit up, actually. My head's across, and he's able to now push and sit up and escape.
So extremely common, someone's going to frame your hip. As you start to come around, there's pressure on the hip. I can no longer continue walking my chest higher. So how do I deal with this grip? Okay, I'll step up on my left leg. I'll put my knee inside towards my own elbow. So you stay on the hip. Then I start driving over the top of that arm to kill the arm. So again, you've got to go inside, frame the hip. All right, I don't want to try to aim at the arm. It's hard to get here. Okay, I'm trying to beat his arm. That's difficult. Okay, I want to go inside first and then just track along this way. This is excellent. If you get here, so easy to pass now because his shoulder's pinned. If I turn him to face the other way, he can't sit up and I'll get a nice clean pass. So Harry's answer to that is he's going to frame very shallow. He's going to keep his elbow very tight. Okay, he's going to frame my hip, but he keep his elbow tight. Still straight, So when I try and go inside, that's difficult. If it's tight like this, go over the top, drop your knee this way to kill it. Preferably the other one. The other one is a little better than this, so I'd rather go inside first. I would rather go here first, but they can fight that, they can make that difficult. Whichever one we're doing, right, maybe this is difficult, go over the top, slide my hip into that, keep them stacked. And then pass.
All right, so we'll just look at beating this frame. So this time it's a frame on my leg, essentially. I tried to come inside, I couldn't. I walk further across, and I think I come over the top now with that right leg. This one's a frame on the hip. I should put my knee inside the elbow if possible and kill that. There we go. Right. Even just making them remove it and then trying to stay pinned on that arm if possible. And here, just pinning the arm again.
You'll often run into something like a self frame, which just makes it, I'm trying to pull his hips in and turn him to face away, and I can't do it, okay? In that case, stack. The self frame shouldn't stop the stack. Something that usually will happen earlier, we did talk about this, if they can pummel that foot out here, this sucks. Yeah. Really, here I need to be thinking about switching to an over-under. So if he goes here, okay, I can't go around this side. I'm gonna focus on putting my head in and trying to dive in front of this other leg. Okay, so again, it's gonna be early on in the pass. I'm going here and Harry manages to pummel under. I'm no longer gonna think about the single underhook pass. I'll get my head below the knee line, turn his head away, tripod, okay. And then if he starts trying to recover this leg, okay, he starts trying to recover this, I'll come back, but now clear it. Some people will clear the knee line by first taking their foot over and then hipping out. Okay, this is usually followed by a high pummel, okay, because there's obviously a big opening. He's going to pummel over the top with this to try to recover. Okay, so if this happens, again, I should have tried to keep his leg with my head, right? But he does free it. Maybe in this early stage, as he does that, I might have had a chance to do this. But if he does manage to hip out, I'm going to try and pin this leg, grab the far leg, look for a duck under pass. Try to come around here to pass. That's it.
I was sure I had some more footage of this, but dealing with the crossover. So basically you've lost the knee, they cross over, you want to start pinning that bottom leg. And in this case, I go to the Miragaya, but that could have been to a duck under pass as well. I've still got my head underneath, so it is sort of a duck under. And I guess to the cat dog.
Sometimes people will frame the hip and also step on the mat very wide out here. So yeah, so they just like straighten your leg a bit more. Yeah, like trying to stop me turning the hips here. He's framing. He's really, it might even be two hands going out on this side. Just everything's trying to stop me getting around that corner. This is a good time to switch to the Miragaya. So I'm going to put my knee over this leg. Okay, put my head on the front side here like this, making sure if I go to this one, I want to stay below his knee line with my head. Okay, so I don't want to do this up here where he can put a knee shield in. Trying to pass, pulling in here, I'm trying to pass, he's opening out. Go here. And that can go to Miragaya or over under as well.
This wasn't quite the exact scenario that I described, but I just wanted to show that sometimes you do go from the single underhook back to the Miragaya. So when you feel like you can't get that angle well, coming back and driving that right knee back over the top. I end up actually losing the Miragaya in this situation, but we'll do that in another course.
All right, so a summary of the single underhook position. Look, there's really three main goals here. One, continue to walking around, try and get my chest to chest. Two, be pulling the hips in to try and turn the knees to face away. And three, stack. Okay, so these can, you don't need all of these to pass. I can be pulling the hips in, getting chest to chest, right? If I'm low down, I might be able to swim through the pass. I might not be chest to chest yet, but pulling the hips in and stacking will then allow me, if I can stack, that's great. Allows me to get a very good side on angle. Begin to turn the legs away by pulling the hips in. Look for chest to chest. And of course, I can just always be continuing the stacking pressure, trying to get my chest on that corner here. Right. Not in the middle of my chest, but just like a bit lateral on my chest, trying to force Harry to turn, beating this leg, staying behind the arm, going to turtle. So in some ways, it's quite a simple position. There's obviously two major grips we're using, elbow tight, elbow high, and we're always looking to try to keep that far hip pulling in.
Okay, so let's look at some under the legs passing, particularly the single underhook pass. Right. So this first one I actually miss, so we'll just talk about some details that caused that to happen and what I could have done to improve it. So first thing on this, so you see as I enter, I managed to get a reasonably shallow underhook. On my other hand, I put almost in line for a triangle, but you see my elbows just behind the line of the hips. So this is important. It's almost there. You see it's close enough that when he reaches for it, my elbow is still free. So I'm able to then reach my other hand across and take the far side of the body. All right. So you see I pull those hips in. I'll eventually lose it when he moves his hips away. All right. But we'll get to that. My head is keeping tight to the leg, looking towards him, trying to stack him over this shoulder, this near shoulder. So you see him constantly driving in that direction, trying to keep the stack. So Jordan's basically, the way he does escape is spins himself towards north-south. Right? He's pushing off my leg. See a hand on my leg here. And he spins, and you can see that's starting to slip the knee. So I actually should be walking back towards the